Country grammar, out the slammer, way too free, and I rep my set. Young OG, loves my drug and IOD, prize my hit. They said the early bird gon' get the worm. Feel like I'm stuck in line, waiting my turn. All of the L's I took or lessons I learned. Success, it gotta be earned. Tell me why they sleeping on me. On me. Tell me why they sleeping on me. On me. Tell me why they sleeping on me. On me. Tell me why they sleeping on me. On me. Tell me why they. Find me in the middle of the map, right in the center. I'm a saint right now, but we all born sinners. Take a couple L's if you wanna be a winner. When I think about the beat, synonymous with dinner. I've been eating too long, still starving. Sowing seed like I got my own garden. And I'm talking to the king while I'm flipping through James, making sure my cardiac don't harden. Mind your manners, Midwest flow, country grammar, out the slammer, way too free, and I rep my set. Young OG, loves my drug and IOD, prize my heel, my Achilles. Yeah, let me let it come before the fall. Grace deserving all. My sin had me dead, Yahweh took it all. I spit the truth in the booth, shaking lies off for ya. My God, covered in the blood, you would think that I was fangs on Dracula. My God, flip it all around, you would think he had your life on spatula. All ops will get massacred on the day that he comes right back for us. They said the early bird gon' get the worm. Feel like I'm stuck in line, waiting my turn. All of the L's I took or lessons I learned. Success, it gotta be earned. Tell me why they sleeping on me. On me. Tell me why they sleeping on me. On me. Tell me why they sleeping on me. On me. Tell me why they sleeping on me. On me. Tell me why they sleeping on me. They said the early bird gon' get the worm. Feel like I'm stuck in line, waiting my turn. All of the L's I took or lessons I learned. Success, it gotta be earned. Tell me why they sleeping on me. On me. Tell me why they sleeping on me. On me. Tell me why they sleeping on me. On me. Tell me why they sleeping on me. On me. Tell me why they. Find me in the middle of the map, right in the center. I'm a saint right now, but we all born sinners. Take a couple L's if you wanna be a winner. When I think about the beat, synonymous with dinner. I've been eating too long, still starving. Sowing seed like I got my own garden. And I'm talking to the king while I'm flipping through James, making sure my cardiac don't harden. Mind your manners, Midwest flow, country grammar, out the slammer, way too free, and I rep my set. Young OG, loves my drug and IOD, prize my heel, my Achilles. Yeah, let me let it come before the fall. Grace deserving all. My sin had me dead, Yahweh took it all. I spit the truth in the booth, shaking lies off for ya. My God, covered in the blood, you would think that I was fangs on Dracula. My God, flip it all around, you would think he had your life on spatula. All ops will get massacred on the day that he comes right back for us. They said the early bird gon' get the worm. Feel like I'm stuck in line, waiting my turn. All of the L's I took or lessons I learned. Success, it gotta be earned. Tell me why they sleeping on me. On me. Tell me why they sleeping on me. On me. Tell me why they sleeping on me.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? This your boy Freeze hanging out in the Deceptive Lab, and today, first time I done this in a while, we gonna be doing a live stream today, and I'm gonna try to make this a little bit more regular of a thing. So if you guys been watching lately, I got up to 100 subs. I'm actually up to 103 subscribers right now. And so the plan right now is to start live streaming every other week, just because of other obligations I have with my children and stuff, every second week. And then we'll see where it goes from there. Hopefully we can get the house full in here, get a lot of people watching. And it'll be a really cool thing, just because after I got my 100 subs, we got a new URL. So if you guys want to actually try to do a search for me now, it'll be youtube.com/FreeCSMax. And so I got to custom make my URL. And yeah, it's gonna be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. Get to kind of engage with viewers a little bit more. And so speaking of which, we're gonna take a look at the chat. And so right now, kind of early, I got Chris Truden in the chat. My good buddy. What's going on, man? And I lost my list that I had of new subscribers, because I actually had quite a few over the past few days. So that's always good. That's one of the things that kind of pushed me over the top. But today, this live stream, obviously, it's a 6-year anniversary coming up of Transformers Earth Wars. And so along with that comes your anniversary event. And it's a couple things we're going to talk about today. Of course, we're going to talk about the anniversary event. They got us a 5-star combat bot coming that way. And we also are going to talk about the vote for the 5-star batch, the upcoming 5-star batch. And I think that's going to be pretty interesting. And I also want to talk a little bit about these new war effects that they have in Prime and Cybertron League. Just overall, and there's some ideas that I have to kind of help you out. There's a couple of things that I was talking through with a couple of my mentors today. It made a lot more sense when we talked about it, so I'm going to share those things with you guys. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at this week's newsletter. Alright, so this is week 2 of the saga, and it's anniversary weekend. So a couple of things to kind of highlight. So when you read through this, Space Ape is saying that the 5-star combat bot will be available at 115,000 points. The overall event is going to be 300,015 points, and they want to try to make it where you can view it similar to how you could view a leaderboard, just so you can go out and help other players. Some of the newer clubs, or some of the not as experienced clubs, we want everybody to try to get that combat bot. So they set up all kinds of things on Discord for that, and just to make sure that everybody tries to get this 5-star combat bot, because it's difficult. 5-star combat bots, they have a tendency to be difficult to get since they've been introduced into the game, and that's just one of those things where we want everybody to get it and have that opportunity. And so one thing Space Ape is saying is keep the alliance to open for some of you new guys. Keep it to open, so some of the big dogs don't have to come knocking on your door and asking you to open it. They're probably not going to wait. They're going to be looking for experience points just because it's a short event. And yeah, just take care of that so they can take care of you. Alright, so in this event, there's going to be a 6th anniversary combat chip that has a guaranteed non-duplicate 5-star combat core. And it's also going to be up to 15 celebration canisters, and they're going to contain either 4-star, 3-star, or premium shards. You're going to have up to 6 $500,000 troop XP, 300,000 combat spark, which is a decent amount for combat spark because it's very hard to come by at times. A G1 gold power core chip and a G1 G metal power core chip. So as far as small events go, pretty good event. Typical battle zones, anywhere from zone 1 to 15 minimum battle points to 240 for when you get into zone 15. And that's just a look at the totalizer prizes. And when they talk about those celebration canisters, you get 15 of those. So 33% odds between premium shards, 3-star shards and 4-star shards. And Cautious just joined the chat. Hey buddy, what's going on, man? One of my good friends back from my Darkness family days just joined me on the chat. So hey man, good to see you, bud. Thanks for supporting. Alright, and let's see. So this whole week, for anniversary week, Space Ape is going to put a lot of different things out here that are going to be really beneficial to us. And so part of the celebration is the 5-star, the biggest part of the celebration is the 5-star combat shards. And so here's a list of the bots that are going to be involved. Pretty much it's going to be between batch 1 and batch 3. Any one of those bots, combat bots, no dupes. And that's what we're going to be looking at. Me personally, if you guys have been watching me for a little bit, you know that I'm waiting for a Crater Maker. So I only got 2 bots left in that batch, but I'll be happy regardless, because if I can get a bot from another batch that maybe I don't want to go pull out of that batch, yeah, you know, that might be one of those things that I kind of take kind of easily. It'd be like, oh man, you know, dodged a bullet. I didn't have to go use, you know, wait months to go get one of those combat bots. So we'll see what happens, but there's a few of them up there. If you've been watching my combat bot series, you know that it's one of those things that I'm not really impressed with that many combat bots, but the ones I want are the ones I want. So we'll see how that goes. Alright, so if you own all of these combats, then on your main faction, then instead of a duplicate, you'll get 500,000 5-star combat shards. So you can go pick out of your own batch if you want. And then as if you're looking in the live chat, Chris Truden actually mentioned this, but anniversary celebration is going to be 4 times the value if you're buying bundles. So that's going to be one of those things up there. So they're going to have the best of for each one of the years from 2016 all the way up through 2021. And so I'll leave this newsletter in the description section of my video in case anybody wants to read through this stuff in more detail. I'm not going to mention every single bot up here on this list, but if I had to pick one that I want, you know, and it's probably gonna be tough, at 2021 I want Runabout. And you know what, I still don't have, from 2017 I still don't have Dead End. It took me a long time to get the 3-star Dead End, and it's taking me even longer to try to get this 4-star Dead End. And so that's what I want. And you know, we'll see if that happens. I might go in there and throw a couple of dollars at these bundles since it's an easy weekend, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so there's a schedule up here for you to see when these bundles are going to be available. And they say all bundles will contain bot shards and spark and 4 times the value. So it'll be a good chance to go in there and get some goodies if you are a pay to play player. And we got a couple more people jumping into the chat. SG Shockwave, hey buddy, what's going on? Welcome. And Alpha Tryon 1, and hey, welcome to the chat, buddy. You know, yeah, you know, and he said he usually checks out Sunstreak Awards. I'm a fan of his too. I say I actually get to talk to him pretty regularly. You know, just hang out here with me for a little bit, see how you like it. Alright, anniversary celebration. You get a Discord giveaways going on throughout the week. So Wednesday you're gonna have 10 times Discord chest, 15,000 premium shards, and it's all the way through the week. Thursday with the Combiner Spark and the 4-star shards. Friday with the 25,000 Spark and Combat Spark. Saturday with 500 5-star Combat Shards and Cyber Pass. And Sunday with 500 5-star shards and Gold XP. So if you're not on their Discord server, that's where all those giveaways take place. That's from Space Ape. And yeah, may the odds be in your favor. Alright, so we're also going to be looking at upcoming characters. So you got for the Autobot side, Slingshot coming up, and for the Decepticon side, Acid Storm. Pretty cool coloring, and I was looking up a little bit about that earlier. One of the, it's kind of interesting when they had those recolors they did for all of the Seekers. Instead of just making duplicates of the Seekers, that's where Acid Storm came from. And so, yeah, man, it's going to be pretty interesting. We hadn't started testing that bot yet, but what we have started testing is these new combat bots that they have up here. So on the Autobot side, they got Wind Strike. And for us cons, we got Baru. And so, it talks about a little bit in the bio. I'm not going to read it, but I like to talk about the abilities. And so the ability here, and we have started testing this, is that every 15 seconds you're going to launch a long-range tornado, dealing 100% of the bot's DPS along its path. Now, here's the thing. When you look at the ability, most of these guys are going to be your melee style bots, and so that's when you see 100%, because I was leery. That's one of the first things I saw when I woke up the other morning in the playtest circle, and one of the things that I started looking at is 100% the bot's DPS. But then I realized that it was mostly tanks, a couple tanks and melee style special class and just melee style bots whenever they get ready to release that, I will do a video on it so you can see it for yourself. But they tried to give it, as Chris Truden was saying, a mini Sea Spray. It's a little bit less effective than Sea Spray, but it's still, I think it's a pretty good combat bot, so I'm looking forward to it as well. Alright. So, content creator page, we actually got something up here from Sunstreak Awaza talking about the new war effects. Actually a really, really good video on his part. I think it was part of his live stream last go around after the new war effects took place. I'm gonna talk about that a little bit tonight myself, but just in case you were looking for just a bunch of different alternatives, Deception, who is over there at Scorch Family, he's got a real good one in his page to punish and enslave, is in my my about section of my page, so check him out. And Metro Team actually has I think he's over there at POW. So for you Autobots, if you want to just go check out something where you can go look at just because he doesn't talk, he doesn't do anything like that, he doesn't do like tutorials, but if you just understand concepts really well and you just want to go look at actual gameplay, Metro Team has got your stuff. So give them a whirl too. In addition to Sunstreak Awaza, each of them has some really good content regarding these war changes, so we'll talk about that some here in a little bit as well. Community corner, we got some pretty cool artwork up there. Let's see what we got. Yeah, so you got a couple of different cool pieces of artwork, and then it goes to soccer schedule. And so we're in week 2, short saga this go around. So we're gonna go into individual event with Prime Core shards next go around, and then it's gonna be an Alliance Totalizer, 1.5 mil for new bots, crystals, 5-star shards, all kinds of good stuff. So looking forward to that. And then there's this, so bug fixes and improvements. So this is kind of a sore spot for me because a lot of these things up here, as a play tester, a lot of the stuff I brought to their attention, and a lot of the other play testers brought to Space Ape's attention. And so the first one of those things that was brought to their attention was dispatch missions, and they say the power requirements. If you've been looking at these things for a while, and I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to my game screen for a second so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. But so give me a moment. Alright, so this is my game screen, and so when you look at these, some of these have some of your really, really good bots just taking up for a while. And so I'm gonna go up here. This one's not as bad. I've seen ones that is as high as 20,000 plus, but I got one up here for 12,600. And I'm gonna go into auto select, and some of these bots, these 4 stars, I actually use. So it becomes very, very inconvenient to try to deal with that. So basically what Space Ape is saying is, hey man, we're gonna we're going to try to reduce the power requirement for your factions, and try to reduce how often they occur, so you don't feel like you can't use your bots when you want to use your bots. SG Shockwave says, will I do a video about that? I will probably mention it during the video, maybe during a live stream. We'll see how it goes. It depends on when it lines up. But yeah, I'll talk about it for sure, just because I think it's one of those things important, and I think it's one of those things that is helping us, to help us out. Oh, he's asking about the new war effects. So I'm going to talk about the war effects a little bit tonight. I actually saved some of my replays from the day. I actually did 300 today on the war effects. I was worried at first. I'm going to be honest with you. The war effects are tough. So I'm going to break down some game film. I used to play sports, so for me, I always like to just go down into the film room and break things down and just try to analyze a little bit so that I can get better. And I'll tell you honestly, even though I got 300 this time, I made a lot of mistakes, man, and things that I'll point out to you guys, and hopefully you guys don't make the same mistakes. Alright, another sore point for me, going back to the newsletter, World and Sea Phantom. Oh man, and I'm taking a deep breath because I'm trying not to go use like a lot of profanity and anything up here like that, but so the first two things I look at up here: increase the damage of the minigun. If you guys saw my video that I made about Sea Phantom, that minigun was one of the things that I was really excited about in testing, and it just didn't hardly do any damage at all. It was doing something like 20 to 60 points of damage, and so they said they're going to increase that. This is one of the things as a playtester I told them from the very beginning, and they did not address. And now here it is, 12 days later. It just seems rushed to me, guys. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that if they would have taken more time, they probably could have got that right the first time. My bigger issue with that is that, say if you're in Alliance and you're trying to debate whether or not, because you want to actually go for event completion or not, because some people say, nah, it's not that great of an event, and it wasn't a good event at all. What if you passed up that opportunity, and now here it is almost 2 weeks later, and you want to fix that? Yeah, I don't like that. I think that's awful. I also told them to add the minigun passive attack to the characters' bios, because one thing that you know is that Space Ape has been making the new wiki, and the new wiki has a lot of it gets more detailed into the bios and the passive attacks and everything like that. And I say, hey, you need to add this. Our players are going to ask for this. You need to add that. So I'm glad to see that they're adding it. I'm upset that they kind of failed to do it the first time. But hey, it's happening. And then the third thing that I told them about, and a lot of other playtesters told them about, is that the flamethrower and the acid thrower abilities are not reaching the full ability range. Like I said, if you look at my video, you can see that. But also issues of attack projectiles not firing from the correct gun. The camera's not centered. A lot of people that I saw on Facebook had picture of World's helicopter. You couldn't see him in the showroom, and disappearing from the frame, doing the unblock animation, shooting sideways, which I also brought that up. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how that looks. Hopefully I can actually throw that on video as well whenever we get to that point. But if you got questions, Space Ape should be doing their live stream tomorrow. So yeah, talk about it then. Hopefully they come up with some new stuff. It's kind of a dry week, especially for it being an anniversary week. But as far as that goes, that is the news. Alright, so let me go back to the lab real quick. And let's see. So what else do I got today? So one of the big things that's been going on right now, and I'm going to pull up my Discord real quick so that we can take a look at the 5-star batch voting. So the players, we as players are getting one vote for the 5-star batch. We know there's a couple of them. We already know who they're going to be. SG Shockwave, SG Thundercracker are gonna be one, and then Flatline is gonna be one. But we get to vote for one, and Space Ape, they're gonna go pick 2. So let's take a look at that in case you guys haven't voted, and hopefully most of you did. Let me pull it up on my phone real quick, and then I'll flip over to it. Alright, so let's see, we go to game screen. Alright, so if you go onto the official Transformers Earth Wars Discord, you can see the 5-star poll, and I'll click on it real quick. And honestly, when I looked at this list, they got 20 different bots up there, and I was pretty unimpressed overall. Yeah, I didn't like the list that much. Now, I know a lot of the other content creators are doing predictions for the 5-star video. I actually did one. I had a lot of errors in mine, so I took mine down. But I think it's going to start leaning more towards some of those 5-star combiner pieces. If they make us get all of the combiner 5 stars to make a 5-star combiner, a lot of the content creators seem to think the same thing. But yeah, this list leaves a little bit more desired. If you guys been watching me for a little bit, you know who I want to put up here. I want to see Cutthroat on this list, but Cutthroat is also a combiner part, so I'm kind of holding on a little bit just to see if that is what just to see if that's if that becomes an option. And so I'll tell you, I've been saving on to Spark. I've been saving on to a lot of resources just in case that happens. But you know, who knows? And my biggest thing for that is that he's got one of the biggest counters in the game, and so I wanted to make sure that I feel like now's the time. So we'll see if Space Ape does that. But who did you guys vote for? You can see mine's. You can see it's a little bit darker there. I just threw mine's and just threw caution to the wind. I voted for Ramhorn. If you saw my Ramhorn con highlight video, I like Ramhorn a lot. But I was just something different, man. Because when you go look at this, and you see who's leading, it's actually 6 Gun for the Autobots, and Trigger Happy for Weak Cons, and then Drag Strip and Hound, Flame War, and Afterburner. And I'll be honest with you, over the course of the weekend, one of the channels that I follow, as far as Transformers Earth War stuff, one of the channels that I follow, Flame War's under attack, guys. The SAC strategy as a whole is under attack. So I'm not putting my vote on Flame War, but yeah, it's just it. But I'm going to talk about Flame War a little bit tonight, because while Flame War is still very much relevant, there's some things that I think a lot of us have been missing in regards to Flame War. So I'm going to come back to that in a little bit when I start talking about the war effects. Alright. I think Flame War is probably going to wind up getting countered into oblivion. I hope that's not the case. I've really grown to like her very much, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, it tripped me out. If you guys didn't catch my last video, my Monday video, Trigger Happy, I kind of was wondering why Trigger Happy. And then it kind of made sense when I looked at the 4-star. So I'm curious about how the 5-star will go. But it looks like he's going to be our winner, man. I imagine it's only a couple of days left. My prediction is that Space Ape will probably release the 5-star batch at the end of the saga, because they're also going to be giving out 5-star shards, so people will have the opportunity to go into the new batch. SG Shockwave says he voted for Hound. Yeah, I mean, Hound is going to be really, really good. You know, Hound Drag Strip forward on the con side, I think it'll be really, really good. Chris Truden says he always votes for Skywarp OG. So, you know, and the big thing he says there is that he needs some love. Yeah, that's probably accurate. And one of the things that a lot of the playtesters have been pushing for really hard is that if a bot comes up for anything, they come up for a 5-star, try to do the rework on the bot. if they come up with a new power core, anytime they come up with anything new for a bot, most of the play testers are saying, hey man, let's go ahead and just rework the bot. Most recent example I have of that is like with Galvatron, and I think a rework might take place, and so yeah, we'll see how that goes. Hey, defeated 101. He says it's been a while. Yeah, it has been a while. How you doing, buddy? Hope all is well with you. Chris Truden says Trigger Happy will probably be the dud of the batch unless Drill Horn ends up there. Hey, listen. So that was kind of a cruel April Fool's joke when they said we were going to rework Drill Horn and stuff like that. I don't know if they really do plan to rework Drill Horn. I hope they do, but yeah, I'm not sure, man. I don't think he's going to be in this batch, but if he does, he'll be a combining piece, so it'll be a really powerful combining piece. So maybe Drill Horn is in the batch. I don't know. It hasn't been released to me yet. And yeah, so we'll see how it goes. Alright, so let's see. So let's actually take a look at, let's go take a look. I'm gonna go to the game screen real quick. I'm gonna get out of dispatch missions. So I want to go look at these new war effects, and let's see. Alright, I already finished this one, so that's gonna be kind of tough. So let's see. Let me go back to the lab. I think I saved a picture of the new war effects real quick, so I'm going to talk about those a little bit, because these are supposed to be some of the most challenging war effects that we've had. And I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit worried at first. I was like, man, this is kind of tough. And so when I went to go look at this, so this is what we got. So in Prime League, they are doing, let's see, plus 10% HP and DPS. And then, so this is the thing that really messed me up, because in the past, when we started looking at your MDS effects, those were the hard mode effects. This time, the MDS effects are the primary Prime League effects. And so for Plasma Cannon, plus 25% additional HP for beam lasers and missile launchers, which already have pretty good range, right? So now you get additional health points for them, because they can be a little bit squishy. So they add that to the Plasma Cannon. The laser gun is going to cause exploding defenses. That's always tough. And then the MDS minigun attack. The MDS minigun has a 15% attack speed and range for cannons, mortars, and laser turrets. So it was overwhelming for me the first time I saw it. I actually joined the play testing for that a little bit late, because I was in the Cybertron play testing for a little bit, and then I started really catching on to the Prime League stuff, so they pulled me up to Prime League, and so I got to spend like the last 2 or 3 days, I think, of the testing for that, and it was really, really challenging, especially because it's a lot of really good players in the play test, and so it was difficult for me in the first war I got into. I went and ran into 1 Prime, and I was like, that was tough too, because those guys are really good base builders. But then hard mode actually has, this is the part that really messed me up, because hard mode, that outpost combining is 100% more health points, and I was like, that was tough, because the first time I fought one of these 100% more HP combiners, it took me about 90 seconds to get that combiner down. So we're going to talk about some ways that I learned how to navigate that, and when we get into the film room later. And then plus hard mode's also got plus 20% HP and DPS for all defenses, so that'll bring you up to a total of 30 for those. And then defenses heal. That's another butt kicker right there, is defenses heal for 30% of damage dealt. So I'm going to show you what happens. Let me jump into the lab real quick. I'm going to go pull up my base, and I'm going to show you some things, some patterns that have been going on with some of these base builds, because there's some things that honestly it kind of changed for the current meta in regards to those things. Alright, so here's my base. I just redid it the other day to try to accommodate the new war effects. And so one of the things you're gonna see, and I probably didn't do the best job of it yet, I'm gonna test this out a little bit more. But one of the things you'll see is when you look at the shield generator, the shield generator is now gonna, most of the bases are starting to have your MDS right next to it. And one of the reasons why they're doing that is because, like we just mentioned, when you look at those Prime League effects, one of the things that happens is you're gonna have, for all those attack points they put out, it's also gonna regenerate. And so a lot of people were already using the self-repair core. So for me, I'm on my live server right now. I've only got my self-repair up to 15. I want to get it up to 20 at some point, but I also have another self-repair that I need to build up. So right now I'm using armor on my other MDS. So I was having a conversation with some guys earlier, and one of the things that I was looking at when I was talking to them is I had a group of guys I used to play with who are in like the cam wars, the Caminus wars. And one of the things that got brought up is like, hey man, armor is good at that level and below because you still have one-shot capabilities for MDS in that range. But once you get the cyber and above, and they add the additional health points and they add the additional damage, but particularly more so the health points, and it gets outside of that one-shot range, then that's when this guy becomes more important than self-repair, because you can try to shoot it and you can heal it. But now when you go look at it and you've got that ability 30% damage resistance there, and then you've got self-heal, and then when you look at the range on this thing, and as soon as you come up off of the platform and it's starting to attack your bots, it's going to regenerate for all the hit points that it puts on your bots as well. So you get a lot of health regeneration there. So what you're starting to see is a lot of players are starting to front load their bases for the Prime and Cybertron war effects. So I kind of followed suit. I pushed mines there together, and in addition to having the missile launcher there to try to do a little bit of damage up there on the front half. So that's one of the things you're going to see, and you're going to see a lot more people using your target protocols to try to get after those healers so that you don't last as long during that fight. Alright, so that's one of those things. I'll be honest with you guys, those war effects for me, they were really tough. And one of the things that I started talking to Space Ape in a couple of different formats, one of those being the Alliance Council. And the Alliance Council, if you guys aren't aware, like a lot of the big Alliance families, they have representatives to just look at all the different levels from Prime League, Cybertron League, and then Caminus and below, as well as the events. And that's basically a hotline to Space Ape for feedback. And so the very first day after the Prime League effects went into effect, Dale came into the Alliance Council. He's like, hey, how do you like these effects? And naturally a lot of the people from the Alliance Council was like, hey man, these things are hard. It's probably like a little bit too hard. And we started to ask the question, well, what's the goal here? Are you just trying to cater to the top like 10 teams? Are you trying to cater to the top 20, 30? What's going on? And these guys were telling me, hey man, this is pretty difficult. And Dale's response, and it's a reasonable response, honestly. I said, hey, give it some time, it's only been a day. But then my response was like, well, why did you ask if it's been a day and it sounds like you don't like the response that you're getting. And so a lot of the guys in playtests who play at the top levels are saying, hey man, this is pretty good, it's challenging, but it kind of punishes you for mistakes. And I kind of think that might actually be the case, that it kind of punishes you more for mistakes in the Prime and Cybertron leagues. So I'll tell you a couple of the things that I started doing, because it was a conversation I was having with some of my teammates today, and that conversation was about how you want to go proceed with your prime cores, or with your power cores, period, excuse me. And so there were two cores that I felt like I kind of had misplaced. And so one of those cores was the Nexus prime core. So let's go pull this up real quick, because one of the things, I'm actually going to go into my power core lab, and let's go pull up these prime cores, because it's a misunderstanding I think a lot of players had, and that's it's kind of embarrassing when I was like thinking about it out loud, but I think a lot of players are having this same problem, and it's the Nexus prime core. And so with that Nexus prime core, one of the things that you're looking at is, well, it's really a two-part core. So it says while in alt mode, all damage including abilities increases all damage, including abilities by, oh wait, I'm looking at Amalgamous Prime, my bad. Alright, there we go, Nexus Prime. So when the bot equipped is in battle, you deal, in this case I got mine at level 13, so it'll be 23% additional damage to your opponent's combiner. And then you deploy, if you deploy the combiner before, or if you deploy the equipped bot before the combiner, then you get 23% additional damage from that as well. And then it also has additional effects that it has for 3% reduction from raid damage. And so one of the things that people have been skipping is that that very first part of that Nexus Prime core. And then what it is that your entire team deals additional damage if that bot is equipped, and goes out before, whenever that he goes out and tries to go attack that combiner. And that's really important, because these combiners are in Prime League are 100% more HP, and in Cyber League they are 50% more HP. So it's going to take you a little bit more time to fight them, and so you need something to counter that. And so what I started doing, a lot of us where I play, a lot of us were using the sack bot. And so what we were doing is we were taking Flame War and using that, because we wanted to say, hey, we know we're going to use the sack bot first, we want to get the combiner damage, but we weren't actually taking advantage of the team damage that you were getting. So let me actually go in here and see. So I'm going to show the difference real quick. So I'm going to go into a base trial. I'm going to cut myself out of the screen real quick, because I can't never focus if I play and I'm on camera at the same time. So I'm going to go say, well, I'll get to that in a minute. So here's what we did. So I had that core on hook, I believe. So we're going to take off the Nexus Prime core off a hook, and I'll explain to you why I put it on hook here in a little bit. We'll go into one of these hard battles. I'll do one against myself in a base trial. And so the big thing is, and I'm gonna try to zoom in a little bit when I'm in here fighting to come. You know what? I'm probably gonna need to, let me readjust that a little bit, because I'm gonna need to bring my combiner to the front for testing purposes. So let's see. I'll just move this forward a bit. I'll move it over here to this side. Just try to get it in range where I can just fight them immediately, so you can see the damage points. And it's going to be pretty tough regardless, because the damage points are going to, it's going to be a lot of them, because there's going to be a lot of bots fighting that combiner. But you can see that it's a difference when you go and run that Nexus compared to without Nexus. And so I started putting Nexus on hook, because hook was one of those bots. I usually deploy my whole team before the combiner even comes out. And and he's going to stay in the back, so he's not going to get damaged right away compared to when I have a Sackbot. A Sackbot we know is going to die early. Alright, so there goes Bruticus. And let's take a look at the numbers. I just want to see some of the numbers of the damage. And so we're looking at the purple numbers up there. And so I see some, looks around, the high I see around there, damage points is around 1600-ish. 1600-ish. And yeah, Alpha Trion says he got his on smoke screen. Honestly, that came up in our conversations when I was talking about it earlier. When I was talking about some of my buddies, I had one of our command team, they had theirs on Brawl. And so when I was looking at that, it was a lot of us thought it was interesting, but it turns out we had just been using the core wrong this whole time. So yeah, it's definitely one of those things where you know somebody's going to sit in the back, and they probably have, you got a bot that's going to last a while in the battle. That's what you want to look at. And it never occurred to me. I saw all these different charts and stuff. The older charts. I saw all this stuff, and it never mentioned making them, stay alive for a little while. So now let's go back in, and I'm gonna put this core back onto the bot, and go back into my prime cores, Nexus Prime, and I'm gonna put this back on hook. And I'm gonna go back into my base trial, and you're gonna see it's gonna be a little bit different this go around. And the biggest thing is, if you're basically going against combiners that are basically on steroids, like I said, Cybertron's up, health points up 50%, Prime League's up 100%. One of the things that you're gonna look at is trying to get that combiner down faster so that you're not getting stomped on. Keep in mind, I said earlier, everybody's front loading their base right now to accommodate these war rules, and it's kind of tough to see in there, but it's starting to, those numbers are starting to creep up. So let's look at the timing it takes. And they kind of just took those guys out. I didn't do anything as far as abilities or anything like that, but those numbers started to creep up a little bit. And so that's my observation, and it worked for me when I went into war earlier today. Hanzik just joined the chat. Hey, what's going on, buddy? Welcome to the live stream. SG Shockwave says he doesn't have Nexus yet. Man, it wasn't the last one that I got. I think it was pretty close to being the last one. It was like the next to last one, I think. And by then I just wanted to be done with collecting Prime Core so I could go get G medals. Now I'm starting to see this a little bit more relevant. So the good news is, you got a Prime Core Shard event next week. Maybe Nexus will show up for you. That would be a good thing. So let's see. So that's one thing that I was discussing earlier today. The other thing, so since we have been using Flame War, we have been using the Sackbot for the Nexus Prime Core. One of the other things that we had to consider was like, all right, well, now that we don't have it on the Sackbot, and if you're using Flame War, well, what do? And so you guys probably already saw it already, but I'll go back to the game screen. And one of the things that I did, thanks to my buddy Trap, we always bump ideas off of each other. And one of the things that we started looking at was, hey man, why don't we use the Liege Maximo core? That seems like, and if you're not familiar, that Liege Maximo core, what it's going to do is it's going to hack outpost bots after they use their ability, and so they can start tearing up some of their own stuff. So yeah, you know, that's one of those things that I looked at and I said, you know what? In this particular set of war effects, where the combiners in there tearing me up, and all of these abilities, all these defenses have long range abilities, yeah, I would very much like for the outpost bots to stop tearing up their own stuff. And so that's what I did. But there's some things that come along with that. So I will try it out. Let's try it out on. I'll try it out on one of my bases. I think my team should be loaded up and ready to go. Well, they are, because I just used them. So I'm gonna use Flame War. So yeah, I got Flame War here. It's already, everything's already ready to go. Let's see. I'll bring a combiner just for good measure. I know that I'm gonna go in the prime zone up there. Now, this is one of the things that kind of bothers me about the game, because I would like to be able to practice. And one of the things that I'm looking at is up here on the prime zone, it doesn't have that 100% combiner, that upgrade to the combiners. So I'd like to be able to practice this stuff a little bit more, just so I can get a little bit better at my wars. But we don't have that, so it'll be a little bit milder than it will be with the actual war effects, but all the MDS effects and everything will be there. And we'll see if it's one of those things that I can highlight here in regards to using the Liege Maximal core on. And this is actually going to be a bad base, it looks like, for a Flame War sack. I wouldn't actually use it on this base, but let's go ahead and give it a shot, see what happens. And so just for the purpose of, and so this actually makes a good point on what I was trying to make. I was able to pop the combiner up there as well. And I was also able to trip one of the mines. But one of the biggest things here is when you go use the Liege Maximal core on Flame War, it really depends heavily on the ability of the defending outpost spot. Now I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Yeah, this is just a bad base. So if I was scouting for war, I would not have tried to use Flame War on this particular base, but alright, we'll see how it goes. I mean, that, and I probably wouldn't have used Devastator either, but you know, that's neither here nor there. But in this particular case, Swoop came out, and because Swoop came out, becomes a little bit more difficult, because it really depends on how long your bot is using this ability with Flame War, if it's going to be beneficial to you or not. So, but we'll come back to it. I actually can run that on my my playtest server. I think I still got it set up for that. But yeah. Alright, Alphatron says they got their Liege Maximal on Gold Fire and send them a sacrifice bot to open the OP and the combiner. Yeah, that's actually, I actually did think about that. I use Vector just in case I get caught by the MSMs early on, but it is definitely an option for using it on Ramjet Goldfire. So yeah, I don't want to go just give this guy any points, any free points. So I'm gonna try to finish this out. Hopefully it doesn't take me too long, because this was not a Flame War sack base. Yeah, I'm probably gonna time out on this one. This is not one I would have used if this was a war situation. Oh no, you know. Ah yeah, I just barely missed it. So, but yeah. Gosh says he uses Liege on Dive Bomb. Another good choice. SG Shockwave had already beat us to the punch. He says he uses Liege on Afterbreaker. So yeah, you know, good call on his part. Chris Truden on Dead End, another good choice. And this talk took me some time to catch on, man. Like, it's just one of those things. I was like, hey, man, I need to do something. And I tested some stuff out on Flame War, and I was like, Amalgamous wasn't good. Not that I was going to take it off of Impactor anyway. But, you know, I'm gonna try it out because I know that she stays in that form for a long time in that alternate mode. So I want to go take a second, and I want to go to my test server, because in my test server I actually got Flame War kicked up a little bit higher, and so I want to talk about her ability 11 a little bit when you're trying to use that Liege Maximo core. So let me give myself a second to upload. But one of the things I was looking at is with that ability 11, she has kind of a reflective shield, kind of similar to what Tantrum has. And that becomes a little bit more helpful if you're using her at a lower power level. Like, for me, I'm pretty good, because one of the things that's going to happen is, and I mentioned it briefly, but one of the things I was looking at is, like, Swoop came out earlier, right? And his ability takes a long time. The ability has to be completed in order for you to use that Liege Maximo core. And so one of the things that I was looking at is, I'll actually show you with my test server. So it works better if it's a bot that doesn't have a long ability. Like Impactor, his ability takes 10 seconds. And so if I have to wait for him to use that 10 seconds, there's a good chance that Flame War might be dead by that if I use her as a sack bot. So I'm gonna show you guys something real quick. I'm gonna cut out the screen real quick, so I'm gonna play. And so when I look at Flame War sacks, when I look at that, one of the things that I start to see is that it depends on how that outpost bot, how long his ability lasts. So let's take a look at, I got that impact on that side, and let's just take a look at it real quick, because so Flame War's gonna start doing her thing, and Impactor, he ain't even started his ability yet, and she's a quarter of the way through, and she's doing her thing. She's still doing her thing, taking lots of damage, and no Liege Maximo. Alright, so one of the things that I will tell you guys is that when you're trying to defend, it might be better for you to use, kind of like I did with Impact up in the front, it might be better to use something like that where it's going to be a long ability. Because actually, who do I have in this? Is this, nah, that's felt bad. I don't want to switch with him. Let's bring Deathsaurus up front. How about that? Because he's got a short ability. Alright, so let's try this again and see the difference. Volcanicus69 joined us up here in the chat. Hey, what's going on, buddy? Glad you could make it. And Volcanicus69 also says Amalgamous is good for Swoop Scourge. It really is. My favorite my most desired G1 core is that Scourge G1 core. So that Swoop and Scourge G1 core is very, very good. I prefer it a little bit more But I do understand why you would use a Malcolmist, just because I'm a ground and pound type guy myself. So that's what I use. But I've seen a lot of people have success with Swoop or Scourge. I've seen a lot of people. Waspinator is another one. So that's another really good one, just because they stay suspended in the air so long. Alright, so here's the difference maker that we're talking about right here. It's going to be, we're going to take a look at Flame War, and this time I'm going to use on the left side because I got Deathsaurus down there. Now watch the difference, because this time Deathsaurus is going to pop, and he's got a much faster ability, so he's going to not hit anything, and now he's going to start tearing up his own stuff. And that's the big difference maker, guys. This is one of the keys that I think is going to help a lot of people out in this particular set of war effects, is to use that on Flame War, your Afterbreaker, and then try to get these outposts. And it's a small advantage, but any advantage is a good advantage. So I want to take those small advantages. If you can get them to pop those outpost bots regardless, then cool. Then you've done half of the work right there, because they're not going to be able to use their ability. Now I will tell you, like I said earlier, Flame War is under attack very much, because we got some players out here that don't believe that you should be able to just pop everybody's outpost bots. And my challenge to them is, go make a better base. Go make a base where Flame War is not going to be able to take over your stuff, because like looking at this, one of the things that made me, and I probably need to work on my symmetry a little bit on that left side, but when you look at these outposts, they're not touching those top two outposts. Not on this layout, they're not. Speaking of guys that have longer abilities, I got Astro Train down there. Dude, I'm telling you, your guys with longer abilities, put them in the front. Astro Train is a long one. Impacted that I showed you earlier, that's a long ability. And so you got a good chance that Flame War is gonna die before you get to that. I mean, look at the one that I got on the test server. I mean, she's got ability 11, so when you look at that ability 11, even with her reflecting damage, it's pretty good. I mean, it's going to take a little bit longer, but she's not going to survive all of that. So, yeah, so that's what I'm looking at. Let's see what I got. I actually got, before I get out of here today, because I'm almost done, let's take a look at a couple of clips from my war today. And yeah, we'll take a look at that. And that I need to refresh that, because I'm at the end. Alright, so this is from the beginning of one of my wars earlier, and so I'm going to stop a couple of times to look at some things, but these are the new war effects. And so one of the things that I've been looking at heavily is, in this particular case, I delayed Flame War, because when you look in the front, there's not anything that's really attacking me in the front. And so I'm going to go ahead and continue forward, and you'll see that I delay that Flame War a little bit. And so here she comes, and I'm going to use her to pop those outpost bots at the top. And then Computron comes out, right? That always started off as a problem for me. So what I'm going to do is run in here. I'm going to bring in my Overlord. Now I've popped a couple of mines, and I'll let them take up some of the damage. I've already used the Nexus Prime core, as I explained, because I put Nexus Prime on Hook, so he's got that additional damage. And when my team comes back in, they will have that additional damage as well. And I've already tore up a bunch of the front half of things. Now I will say, in this particular player, they didn't really capitalize on the war effects defensively. So if you go in there and you deal with any of that stuff, make sure you go in there and actually do that, man. Change your bases up to meet some of these things. So Computron's still around, and I let I let Impactor and it looks like Astro Train get split there a little bit. I got the opportunity, at least with Astro Train, I can move him to wherever I want to by using his healing ability. But he's got Fire Line on him, so I'm going to let him go ahead and take Computron down and continue to walk the field. Not anything really to worry about too much, and he's got most of his health, as you can see there, because he's using the Micronus Core. He just didn't get to help anybody else with it because he walked away. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't too bad. Some of these guys hadn't been taking advantage of the MDS abilities either. So, you know, make sure that if you out there in Prime Lake defending, that you use 2 different MDSs. Personally, I'd use, in this particular setup, I'd use the minigun and I'd use the laser. And this is on repeat. So let me go actually switch over to my second war. Alright, so that's already in the middle of it. I'm going to refresh. Alright, so in this case, another base, it was kind of, if you look at the base design, a lot of people have been seeing this one. I used this one in the past. It's not part of this particular set of war effects. And so it kind of put them at a disadvantage a little bit. And it was a real easy flame war sack here. Just go in there, and I'm popping outpost bots and a handful of mines. Well, I got 1 mine up there in the corner. Computron uses ability, and nothing crazy there damage wise for myself. Bring out Impactors, because the big thing is I got Impactor with the Amalgamous Prime Core, and he kind of lunges forward a little bit. He pops that mine and lunges forward a little bit, so it kind of messes me up. I lose him, but I didn't panic. I let my team do a little bit of damage, and then I brought in Overlord over on the left hand side. And the purpose here is I want to draw these guys away from where my team, when my team comes back, I want these guys away from my team if they're not dead. So I draw them over to the other side. I say, hey, I'm gonna take down that slow down beam up there on that beam laser, just for good measure. Stun these guys toward the tail end. My team comes back down on the right hand side, and they continue on their reign of terror up that side. Drop some smoke, because I know I already got rid of the build bots on that side. And even with Computron being as strong as he is, he comes down. I didn't lose anything other than the sack bot at this point. And these guys just continue on. Now, a lot of the replays that I had in this particular war were kind of jacked up, so I didn't get to get all of my replays in there. I mean, if you guys, I did 300 this war. I can show you guys if you want when we get done with this replay, just to make sure you know I'm not blowing smoke. But yeah, I mean, these effects are actually a little bit easier than I thought they were gonna be. And I panicked. I'll be honest with you, because I make mistakes. I had a war yesterday in Cyber. I didn't score very many points at all. I got beat 1 base. I couldn't get past the 2nd base, to be honest. So it made me work harder on this stuff today, and this is what I came up with. But you know, luckily my teammates were able to handle that war pretty easily. So I wanted to give back to them today and say, hey, I'll pave the way so you guys can have a method of planning. But yeah, this one's coming down easily. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about when I look at those war effects. Like I say, they're hard. They're harder than anything I've seen. The biggest thing for me is it was kind of a seesaw to me, because the last couple of sets of effects were really, really easy overall for most players, most top league players. And I'll be honest with you, I'm probably not going to use. I'm not gonna go up there against the top 10 and just start whooping on them or anything anytime soon. But like against other teams that are close to my level, then that's what we'll be looking at. But let's see, another thing, just so everybody knows that I'm not playing around. Actually, no, that's not right. That's my playtest server. But yeah, I did actually 300 on that wall. Yeah, so it's one of those things that's going to take getting used to Dale's point from what I was saying earlier when he said, hey, give it a couple of days, it sucks because I don't want players to quit on this just because, you know, these things have been lasting a long time. These things been lasting for about 3 months now. So yeah, and you can see right there that I said I went all the way in on them early in that war. Yeah, Alpha Trion 1 says it seems a bit situational, like it has to be the right team for the right base. Hey, absolutely. And if you guys watch some of the other content creators, Sunstreak Awaza is actually really, really big on this. He's saying like, hey, you gotta have a lot of different bots that you use in different situations. Now, I'll tell you this. When I go look at my teams, one thing that I really, really lack is ranged options. I should get another 5-star bot soon. I'm really get my fingers crossed to this brawl. I need a nice ranged option to go put in my teams because I got I'm real front heavy, and you know, to be honest, I need something to be able to go attack at distance. And surprisingly, I was able to make out okay today in this war with that because you need some long range options here on against this particular set of war effects. But yeah, guys, you know what? It feels great to be back up here live streaming again. It's been a while. I think I'm gonna sign off. But hey, seriously, if you guys like my video, go ahead and give the video a like. And if you like my content as a whole, man, go ahead, man, subscribe, join my Discord too. Once I get into my editing phase, since it's a live stream, I have to go back into the video and change my description a little bit. My Discord server information is going to be in there. And hey, come join us, join some of the conversations we're having. And you know, I put my social medias and everything in there as well, so you can keep up with what's going on. But hey, guys, hey, enjoy your anniversary event. I will see you guys on Monday with a pre-recorded video. Usually I do my con highlight during that week, talk about one specific bot and the good, the bad, you know, just some of my personal play testing for just different bots in the game. But yeah, you know, I'll see you guys next time, and I will see you on the battlefield. Freezius out.